Hi there. In my opinion, the funniest comedian ever to come out of this country is Spike Milligan. Now, there's been other really great comedians, Ken Dodd, Tommy Cooper, more recently Peter Kay, but I really put Spike Milligan ahead of everyone because of his sheer inventiveness. And he really first came to prominence on the radio with the Goon Show, where together with Peter Sellers, Harry Seacombe and later Michael Bentine, they presented a gloriously idiosyncratic look at the world, where Spike's use of words and phrases and his defiance of logic really was totally funny, and it was more filled with comedy than anything since. Virtually every line was funny, and a lot of other comedies since then, notably Monty Python, have really built on that and acknowledged their roots. So some of the characters that and Spike wrote the Goon Show. So as well as being a performer, and he wrote it, and some of the characters he created: Henry Crumb, Minnie Bannister, Major Bloodknock, Blue Bottle Eccles, and Grip Pipe Thin, and so on. Amazing, and he fitted them all into situations every week. I still listen to them frequently, and it really makes me laugh. Just as an aside, at the time, the BBC was really in bed with the Musicians' Union, and the Goon Show, which was nominally a half-hour program, had two musical breaks. It had a guy playing the harmonica, and then it had an interval with Ray Ellington with his quartet, and then they also had a studio orchestra to play introductory music and at the end as well. So you couldn't have half hour of comedy without all this music being added to it. That's so, just in my opinion, it wasn't necessary. Ray Ellington was very talented, and I did enjoy his music, but I enjoyed the comedy more. Okay, so Spike wrote a previous book called Cocoon, and as he says in the preface, after Cocoon he swore he'd never write another book, and the book we're talking about today is it, Adolf Hitler, My Part in His Downfall, which really is, it's the first in a series of his autobiography based on his experiences in the army. And what I'll do is just read the first page of the book. How it all started. September the 3rd, 1939. The last minutes of peace ticking away. Father and I were watching Mother digging our air raid shelter. She's a great little woman, said Father. And getting smaller all the time, I added. 2 minutes later, a man called Chamberlain, who did Prime Minister impressions, spoke on the wireless. He said, as from 11 o'clock, we are at war with Germany. I loved the we. War, said Mother. It must have been something we said. The people next door panicked, burnt their post office books and took in the washing. Almost immediately came the mournful wail of the first air raid warning. Is that you, dear, said Mother. It's a Jewish funeral, said Father. Quick, put out the begging bowls. It was, in fact, the Batter Shoe Factory lunch hooter. It caused chaos until it was changed. Now, that's not even the entire first page, and you can see how many funny lines he's managed to include. So basically, as he puts it, he gets his invitation to World War II through the mail and is called up. And put before an officer who asks where he's been because he's been dodging it. And as he replies, Sergeant Major shouts, "Silence when you speak to an officer." And the book just chronicles the absurdity of army life. He's been called up to the artillery. Lots of characters, some very, very funny, some very, very crazy, some very, very awkward characters, and many who became lifelong friends of Spike for the rest of his life. he really questioned how the army, as he saw it, was able to fight a war, let alone win it. During the time he was in the army, he was also a keen musician. He played the trumpet, and he immediately formed a band. Now, in those days, people tended to make their own entertainment. You know, people would gather around a piano in a pub and somebody would be able to play and so on. Spike got these musos together, and they actually did become semi-pro and play at functions, officers, dancers, this kind of thing, balls. And you know, he obviously could play, and he himself liked jazz and swing music. Anyway, the book really it shows the roots of the Goon Show, because a lot of the things in the Goon Show related to the war and referenced either wartime service or the subsequent call-up conscription, and which almost everyone listens to the radio will be familiar with. It also referenced war films with episodes like I Was Monty's Treble and Ill Met by Goonlight and things like this. And it was a very, very rich source of material was his military service. I read quite a bit of military history, and I've reviewed some books on military history, and we'll be reviewing some more. But Spike's book really gives a unique insight into, through the lens of somebody with such a sense of humour, and he saw the contradictions and the way the army operated, the illogical way the army operated, and he used that really in his comedy later to say that, you know, life as he saw it wasn't based on anything common sense. Terrific book. If you like a laugh, it's a book for you, and it's available on Kindle and also still in print.